Hey everyone, today's show, we have learning, learning, learning. This has been a theme on the show and it'll continue to be a theme on the show. We have Gary Hart today with the Independent Glass Association. They have a program that is web-based. It's designed to not so much take place of the hands-on training, it's to add to the hands-on training, kind of like prerequisites, if you would. I want to take a few minutes to invite you to please, if you have the time, you have the money, donate to the Steve Denton Scholarship. What it is it takes $500, every $500 we raise, each trade school kid or kid coming out of the senior or a graduating senior, it gives them $500 in the workforce or in their trade to get started. Some boots, some tools. $500 isn't a lot, but $500 will definitely get them started. You'll notice when you go to GoFundMe and to donate that it already says we have $1,000. That's not true. That is last year's numbers. And instead of starting a new GoFundMe, I went ahead and just reused that one. May change that in the future. But for right now, you'll see it all over the web, all over every show we do. I'm going to try to post it. I want to raise $1,500. We raised $1,500 last year. I had $1,000 from the GoFundMe, and then I did the rest of the money. And we had 3 deserving students. They have to write an essay, basically explaining what they're going into, the field they're going into, how this money will help them. So we were able to give 3 out last year. If we can give more than that out this year, great. I would be pumped. But if not, well, we'll do the best we can. With that, please enjoy the show with Gary Hart of the Independent Glass Association. Sit back, enjoy. I would like to give a special thanks to Texas Glass Tools. Drift down to Texas Glass Tools. He handles all your tool needs. Frog It Out tools. That new frog is amazing. Go to frogitout.com. Get the frog tool. Get yourself some line. Get yourself some training. What sets this tool apart is the training aspect. You're not going to get a tool and just figure it out. You have the training that comes along with it. It gets a cool little birth certificate. You get a couple cool little tools on its birthday. It's a pretty cool little setup. Definitely unique. Definitely check it out. Big shout out to the IGA. Enjoy the show. Yo, everyone, it's James, the Ghost Set Killer with Put 'em on the Glass podcast. Today's guest, we're going to be talking about some revolutionary things in the industry, so pay attention. Who do we have today?
It is Gary with the Independent Glass Association. Hey, James, thanks for bringing me on today and talking about yet another new subject for the industry. This should be interesting.
Yeah, well, it definitely should be interesting because, all right, so let's just get into it. IGA / eGlass Direct / oh man, there's so many slashes. Glass Part Match. You guys are introducing a new style of training for technicians, managers, CSRs, and go ahead and give us the rundown of that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a new style of training. Obviously, online learning is something that you can find almost in any industry. I think a lot of adults and kids, they go back for their masters and continued education, and they do it mostly online. Because to actually physically go to a university, take time out of your day and do those things, it's kind of a tough proposition to ask somebody to do. So what we've come up with is we looked at the industry as a whole. And if you want to go back in history, just to, people say, hey, well, what's the IGA doing in this space with education and training? the IGA actually was the first one to bring technician training and certification as an association to the industry back 2008, 2009. And it actually, I believe it ended somewhere in 2010, and it just depended on who was running the association at the time. And all of the curriculum at the time was based off of Bob Baranek and Ann's book,
Yep.
what we call the Bible as far as the
Yep.
training goes. And the testing and everything was online. Now, granted, I want to make this a point up front that the IGA does not believe that the online training is a substitute for the hands-on training when it comes to technician certification. So I want to get that right out of the way, that don't expect somebody to come to the university, and get the book, read through what Bob and Ann have wrote and all of the other anecdotes that go with it and videos and whatnot, and then take a quiz and then go, haha, I'm a technician. It's actually not, that's not the case, man. So we're still saying that, our design training now, we're updating it if we're doing anything, is we're saying that there's this critical gap in the industry right now, and we're seeing it right now. It doesn't matter whether you're looking to hire a CSR, a manager, a technician, an accountant. There is this critical gap of education and information specifically about the industry. And what we're doing is we're saying our offering of our online courses will serve as a prerequisite to the hands-on and in-person training that is provided by the other schools and education facilities that are available today. Make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, if they have, some hands-on, or they have in-house training, they go through the IGA course, and then it piggybacks off of the, like you'll piggyback off of the IGA course, the information dump, and then you'll get practical application on OJT or going through a hands-on school for a week. Is that
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so like you're accustomed to you go into one of the schools, and your first day is essentially like, hey, here's all of the basic information you need to know. This is a cold knife, or this is how you answer the phone, or this is what a NAGS part number is. All of those things really should be a prerequisite, in our opinion, leading up to the school. So when you get into the school, you're going to have this expectation that you already understand what a NAGS part number is, what some of the basic tools are, what some of the basic procedures are that are already enshrined in our industry as the truth or the real deal. So if it's in Bob's book, or it's been used in every glass shop since a glass shop first answered the phone, NAGS part numbers, looking up NAGS descriptions, understanding what the various, like, lane departure, what is the acronyms for those types of things should all be already done prior to you going to that hands-on training, if you will.
Is there a future plan for a partnership with one of these schools to where it's like an advanced training course, so to say, you get your prerequisites out of the way with the IGA, and you come in for a week of strictly hands-on?
So we're right now we're approaching the industry, starting with our industry partners first, and we're approaching them saying, hey, not only do we have this platform with this prerequisite situation, but as an industry partner, you can use the IGA University for like continuing education units. So as you want your CEUs on there, or as a platform for, hey, we're updating on the use of this tool or the use of this urethane activator procedure or whatever. Having those courses available to anybody in the industry. So if you're a graduate of Kaizen, for instance, who's an industry partner, or Auto Glass University, who's an industry partner, you could have that capability to come back if they wish to have their curriculum or continuing education online. Having an online school is not something you just magically snap your fingers and say, here's our platform. You can either lease it, and obviously that has its expenses and it's not as flexible, or you can own the infrastructure. And that's one of the key things about the IGA, especially with its programs like Glass Part Match and the Auto Glass Alliance, those are internally owned on equipment and servers that are controlled by the IGA. So what's nice about that is we get the full use of being able to expand the platforms as we need them. So the university is great because out of the gate, we have an app for iOS and Android. Out of the gate, we have the ability for real-time video or pre-recorded video. We have the ability for classroom settings. So if all of a sudden, and I'll just use Kaizen as an example, let's say they say, hey, 3 weeks after you graduate, we're going to have a follow-up class online and there will be a short test. They could utilize the IGA University platform to come up with that curriculum, host the class in real time, where students and the teacher can see the curriculum and they could raise their hands, they can speak, work, take a test, and move on. So we're first out of the gate, we want to get our materials up because we do believe that there is this critical gap right now that shops are having a difficult time. It's not the hiring aspect of it. There are plenty of people that want to answer a phone or manage an office or maybe become an apprentice as a technician. The problem is they're limited to the access to the information that's going to take them from no skill to a skill and then moving that skill forward. So if you're a glass shop looking for a CSR and you find that perfect candidate, great personality over the phone or in person, but they just, you don't have the week or 2 or 3 to spend with them going, oh, no, this is how you look it up in the point of sale, or this is what the difference between an OEM number and a NAGS number is. And this is how the difference between here's all the suppliers and how they do things. Though prior to even, getting that job, or if you're starting the job, you could take 2 hours chunks at a time or 15-minute chunks at a time and go through the modules and courses and, streamline them. So.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Is it going to be open as far as if they're like, okay, our shop uses Main Street, or our shop uses Omega, or our shop uses eGlass Direct, or our shop uses glass billing?
Yep.
And it's all going to be in there?
It's agnostic because here's the deal. Point of sale is point of sale. At the end of the day, you have customer information, you have vehicle information, and you have part pricing information. That's it. It doesn't matter how you get to it or what the layout or the formula is. Those are the key components of a point of sale system.
Okay.
Beyond that, where the point of sale systems are going to differ is on the functionality for like CRM and marketing, during care, after care, and then continued like marketing follow-up. Accounting may be different in some cases, but that's not up to a CSR as far as like accounting goes, unless you have a dual role. But certainly you want to make sure that just the basics are there, like why you should ask for a phone number and an email. Well, I could tell you all the point of sale systems allow you to record those. So while demonstrations may be in a specific product or multiple products, that doesn't mean that the user's still not going to understand that. Now, we're relying and leaning in and saying, hey, for your point of sale specific training, you've got to go to the point of sale supplier that you have, and which they should train you up front. But here's what's helpful to this, because this also helps the point of sale suppliers or vendors say, hey, we don't want the role of teaching you the industry, because right now most of the point of sale systems are in the role of training new people that are green and have no idea about the industry. So this will now finally take that off their plate, because they're not really there to do that. So like Omega and eDirect Glass, that's not their primary objective for service and support, but they have to do it because then that's the only way the user's going to succeed and lessen the tech calls. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Because if they have a basic understanding getting into the industry and they understand how certain things work, it could streamline the process of training on their specific program. So that does make a lot of sense. I just wasn't sure how that was going to work, because, there are some schools out there that it's this specific product and this product only that it's very, like it's our product only. And I know that IGA and eGlass Direct work real closely together. So being that,
well, yeah, and it's no surprise. I mean, I invented that platform, but at the same time, eDirect Glass is a industry partner. They pay their dues. They're in there. They support it, and they were the ones who, not only through my help, but the board of directors at the time during COVID brought Glass Part Match, which has taken on a life of its own, and that's accessible to everybody in the industry, with the exception, if you're not an independent glass shop, you don't get access. So if you're a big company, AGN, Safelite, Glass America, they're not accepting those applications to get access to Glass Part Match. But as far as the training material goes, we're in a unique position to provide this in a very agnostic kind of way, in that we're not, whether they're an IGA partner or not. So let's just say you've got an adhesive manufacturer that's a partner, and you got 3 others that aren't. We're not discluding them. We're saying, hey, if you want your materials up on the university as well, you just simply have to provide that information, and we'll make it available, because it's only going to benefit them at the end of the day, and it benefits our members and non-members. Because the university has 2 methods of access. If you're a member, you're going to get access to a lot of free training and then a lot of discounted training. If you're a non-member, you're going to have to pay full price, unless somebody's giving you a coupon code or something, supplier or somebody like that.
If Sika comes to you and says, okay, we want ours on your platform, and so a technician could go on and technically receive their Sika training through the university and will have their certification, or will they still have to rely on Sika to come out and provide them with the actual in-person training? How would that
That's
go?
entirely up to what Sika's belief is, that they're right now, their normal in-person training is, hey, here you go, we're demonstrating, we're doing some things, you're understanding what their different types of processes per their products are, and then they give you a little certificate, and now you've got that to do whatever. If they believe that can be done online, they 100% can. Or if they say, hey, there's 2 hours we can expedite by having them go online, learn all of this first, come in, because we can see if they passed or failed, and if they passed, then obviously they can sit in the training hands-on and get hands-on with the products then.
Okay, because I just use Sika because I know that they're a partner on some of your platforms, and DuPont, SRP. God, I always forget that other one. What is the other one? Dynatrol. So I mean, it could be any of them, is what you're saying.
Gorilla Glue, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Gorilla Glue. Yeah, whoever needs to use it. I apologize to Dynatrol for forgetting. It's just my brain sometimes forgets things. It's just like, it goes like squirrel, All right, so the university, what are they looking at? I get it, if they're members, their discounted rates, and they can receive certifications. What are they looking at price-wise to go through this?
Yeah, the lowest price, and I'm going to just use suggested retail pricing. So members obviously are going to get a discount or free. But like, for instance, a CSR course is going to set you back $129. Oh. And that is a very robust, let's see, it is 8 modules right now. And those modules go from understanding the background of the industry, roles and responsibilities of a CSR, customer communication skills, service scheduling and order management, product knowledge and technical understanding, problem solving and complaint resolution, technologies and tools, and then professionalism in an automotive glass workplace. So that's 8 modules. It's about 16 hours total of learning and educational material that are from reading and videos, and then even AI interaction. So we have a nice little AI scheme that you could pretend that the AI is going to be the customer, and you have to interact as the CSR. So we've thrown that training in, that we don't have to have people play that role, or you don't have to listen to a stupid, pre-recorded call of, hi, this is Gary with Gary's Glass Shop. How can I help you today? It's going to be the AI going, yeah, I'm calling to cancel my appointment, and then, to see how the CSR goes through the resolution of, great, well, can we get that rescheduled for you? When's the next available time? Doing those things to make sure that the sale is salvaged, all of those things. AI is a perfect role for this. And we're leaning into that heavily. So that's great. And $149, that's pretty damn good. And guess what? Your employees or yourself, you do that from the comfort of your own home, your office, the beach, a hotel room, wherever.
All right. So where do they get this information? And you're very active on all the socials, so it's not like it's going to be hard to find. Actually, Dylan and I just talked about that on the last show that's going to be dropping, it'll be tomorrow, but yours will be in a couple weeks, but tomorrow, about how you're very, very active on the socials. Let's get this information out there, because, that's a really good price for a CSR training that, there's others that are coming up on that are going to be providing training. Kaizen and some of the other partners already provide something similar, but that's something that a lot of people ask, where can I get my CSR trained? Where can I get my CSR trained? I mean, at that price, that's hard to pass up for an actual education that they can pass or fail and know whether they're going to be able to do the job or not. So.
Right. And it's not only that, but per module, the not only can the student see their strengths and weaknesses, but whoever is paying for them to be there, whoever their boss is, they can also get that report as well. So they could say, well, this person's really good, but they're not good with problem solving and complaint resolution. So we need to hone their skills in there a little bit more. So it's also another unique part of it, that this is not novel as far as the rest of the world goes, but for our industry, having this platform, it is. And we're not doing anything that's groundbreaking with technology. We're just finally bringing it to the industry and putting it in a place. And to your point, like, where are they going to find out about this? Well, definitely, I encourage everybody that you should at least like and subscribe to the IGA's Facebook page, because when we post something there, you will get an alert in your feed that the IGA has posted something new. So at the bare minimum, right there, best place to go, say I like or subscribe to it, you're done. Secondary to that, if you're in most of the tech groups, most of the business groups, with the exception of one, but I do know our board members are in that AGTT shop owners only. They will get it on there as well when we announce the opening of this. We also have a giant email list, and I know, geez, it's about 7,000 or 8,000 emails that are in there right now, that you should probably get an email. So make sure you whitelist IGA.org in your email, or it's also a good practice that once a week, just glance through your spam or your junk folder, because there are sometimes these mechanisms will take legitimate mail and put them in there. So just get on there, but just definitely check that. Or your best thing to do is just once a week, go to IGA.org, see what's new. We post it right on our homepage, what's new. So the links are there. There's all the benefits for both shops that are members and non-member shops. And to the industry, we have a lot of programs that cost nothing. They are free for shops to sign up. The FindMyGlassShop.com portal, that is for consumers. We buy SEO in a lot of different markets based on the number of shops that are weighted in there. So the more shops that sign up per state, per city, whether you're an IGA member or not, we're putting it out there. And lots of shops right now get jobs for it, and it costs you nothing. IGA members get the benefit of having their listing brought to the top of that if they're an IGA member. And the double super bonus is if you're an AGSC member and an IGA member, we move you to the very top, because that means you're doing everything in the industry right as far as we're concerned, and that's why we place you up there.
Well, I mean, sounds like you've got it all covered. Is that dropped already, or are you dropping it?
No, so as you can imagine, a platform this big, and we've got 3 modules that are going to be dropping simultaneously. The CSR is the most popular and one of them. We also have our technician training, so that's at the same time. Now, that has a different price point, because as you can imagine, first of all, you've got a book we're going to send you. That book costs money, and there's some other materials that cost money. We are looking to offset in the future the price of that with partners. So, like, think of it right now. Any one of the universities, if it wasn't for like an adhesive manufacturer or an ADAS tool, or just tools in general, if they didn't donate them to those schools, your school's curriculum would cost more, because they'd have to maintain that. Yeah.
Yes,
so
yes.
we're going to lean into that same concept and also, bring that forward. So what we're looking for is a March 1 launch for all of this, but that technician training is going to be $349. So remember, it's prerequisite training. You're going to get a really good idea of everything. You're going to be tested out, and it'll give any school that you enroll in that wants access to your records, we will give them access to your testing records, so they can see exactly, again, where your strengths and weaknesses lie through the technician prerequisite training. So just something that's there.
I mean, that's good. If you're investing in yourself and you're wanting to get started, you'll get a basic idea, basically for $300 or $400, whatever you decide to do. For less than $1,000, you can be all in. You'll get a book. You'll get all the material to decide if you want to do it, and then you can pursue hands-on training after that. It's actually a pretty good idea. I mean, it's a really, I mean, because the hands-on part of it is something that's critical. But if you can understand before you go in whether you even want to do it or not, based on the information you're going to receive, I mean, it is a simple step, an affordable step to increase your knowledge. I mean, just invest in yourself, increase your knowledge, and just a better understanding of an industry you're in. Even if you've been in it a while and you have the on-site training and the hands-on, and you've been doing it as long as me, but you want that information dump, that would be a good way to start investing in yourself with an actual low buy-in. I mean, it's a pretty low buy-in at that.
It is, and the other thing is, you talked about if you're on the bubble about learning. So a lot of people, to your point, I've been in the industry for 20 years. What do I need to go back and learn? Then all of a sudden you say, you know what, this price point, let me see what's new. Maybe I've missed something. And wow, I did. And that gets their head, the marbles rolling around going, uh-oh, I maybe need to go now invest and take a week, travel to a school and get my hands dirty again. And so it may just be the catalyst that gets people to move off the dime for that.
Yeah, I mean, because it isn't a larger investment to go to one of the schools, and you can, like you just said there, that's a very good point, is if you're sitting on the fence, you've been 15 years in, 20 years in, you're thinking, I've learned everything, these new vehicles are coming out, but you know how to do your job, you're very good at doing your job, you're very skilled in this career. It's just sometimes you might not understand how to explain to a customer the workings of urethane. And that honestly, it just makes you feel good that you can understand the pieces in and out that you're working with. I mean, it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, one of the biggest things for me was for a long time, I could just be like, yep, it's a urethane, that's what holds your windshield in, but then when I found out the inner workings of it and the inner workings of ADAS and the inner workings of, more defined cutouts, I was able to explain to a customer on a level that they could understand. And then they were like, oh, okay, now I understand why to do this. So yeah, trigger that knowledge that it gets you in there, get you in the door. So that's a good platform to try to boost our technicians and our CSRs, management, just to get them at a lower buy-in to where they're now like wanting to learn, because it's a lower price point of entry, and then they can invest in themselves a little bit more and more at a time.
Yeah. And the third module we're dropping is shop management. And shop management also is including marketing best practices and customer retention and follow-up. And, because those are all part of shop management. And while it could be a distinctive separate course, maybe in the future, we feel right now that most individuals need to bite off small chunks. And just, again, looking at what we see on the groups, because it's always shocking when somebody comes on and goes, oh my God, it's been dead for 2 weeks. And it's like, that's because you don't have customer retention and marketing standard operating procedures. You don't have a guide to go to that says, here's what I should have been doing 3 months ago in anticipation for 3 months ahead. Now, while we can't predict the future, there are things that we know seasonally change. And as they change, there's new products to offer and new reasons to communicate to a customer, right down to windshield treatments for simple things as, hydrophobic coating, which has been in the industry forever. And I'm going to do an Aquapel treatment because it's going to snow and it's going to allow that to go. All these things that shops forget, there's a reason to communicate with their customer, which I guarantee you 1 out of 10 emails that you would send out to your customer would trigger a replacement job. It's proven. It's there. It's science almost. So we're bringing that third one to the table as well, where they're just going to get a plethora of learning. Now, all 3 of these initial courses, when we have new course material, you will be alerted to come back and get access to what that new course material is. So you don't have to retrain at same price point, where it's perpetual. So as the industry scales, you're going to learn that new, and then we will have micro testing on those new things. Just like any industry has. And a lot of this inspiration I've recently gotten from my wife's in the interior design business, and she's part of a national association. And their partners provide this training information. So Dunn Edwards Paint, as they come up with new techniques and things like that, you take short, like 1 hour reading, go through, watch videos, and you take a test. And it's all based on the materials you just saw. But now you're up to date on the latest Dunn Edwards procedures. So we want to bring all of that here as well. Now, a lot of people have been asking, well, what does this certification do? How is it industry recognized? Is it AGSC certified and approved? And our stance is this: no, it's not. And I do want to make sure everybody understands the difference between the IGA and the Auto Glass Safety Council. So we're both vital to the industry, but we have, in our opinion, two distinct purposes for being in the industry. So the IGA, we're focusing on the needs of you, the independent business owners, or your employees, or whomever. We offer resources. We do the advocacy of you, as you've seen, don't get steered. We're putting money back into your shop's pockets for your late and short payments. We're doing all of that. And we're here to support your business as a core to help it thrive. So that's what our role is. The AGSC's role, since day one, and keep in mind, the IGA is an associate member. We totally believe in the AGSC and everything, and we believe in safety. They're dedicated to the advancement of automotive glass safety and quality. That's our opinion, and it's kind of their mission statement, which is on their website. So it's not like we're inventing that. And the most important thing is that's the organization that establishes the standards, like the AGRA standard, and they provide the hands-on certification program, like curriculum verification, like all these schools go to, and they say, here's our curriculum for that. And those programs are there to ensure, that the installations meet the safety standards and the guidelines. That's what we believe. So these two organizations, while two different roles, they complement one another in the industry, because we're making sure that both of those things are being brought to the shops. And just like we show, if you're a shop with both IGA and AGSC, you're going right to the top of certain lists. So okay. we don't see that there's a need for our prerequisite material to have any certification, because it's in our opinion, it's based off of like, for instance, the CSR module. That's 7 years hands-on in a actual CSR setting with 6 CSRs, their recordings day in and day out. We looked at the metrics of that. We've taken other information from other shops, and they were like, okay, here's everything we're looking for. So we had a focus group on it. So it's not like we're making this up out of thin air, or I've heard some, off the cuff comments that I know where they're directed to. It's not ChatGPT, it's not AI, although we do use AI in that training between the phone. But this is 100% industry-based knowledge, because obviously AI doesn't know the industry. So it would be quite obvious if it was all AI generated. So it's not that. And we feel that prerequisite materials, it's already proven, like the contents from Bob and Ann's book. That's pretty much the baseline for all of the certified schools and courses that are out there right now. It's not even an arguable point, in my opinion, but we feel that if we're already leaning into it, that's the materials we're providing. We can say it's industry recognized from the IGA standpoint, which does mean something. So, that's.
Everyone, this is a great price point to get in. You've heard us say that. Now.
Now. It's always a now. There's a but and a dot.
There's always a but and a dot. That was very good information, and I do encourage everyone to look into this, because this could be your pathway to success. If you have a vision board, if you do a vision board, you start here, you go to hands-on, now you go to your owner, or you go to your back to being a technician or a CSR, or, you're invested in yourself, and your vision board shows your path to success, and it could be the start of your vision board. But you only have 300 signatures on a petition that we need 1,000 on. Go ahead real quick and talk about that and see if we can get some more, because I signed it. Let's see if we can get some more signatures and get the ball rolling in that direction. You and I both hear it rumblings all the time. We need this, we need this, we need this. And then now you have an outlet. There's been outlets, but now you have this outlet to sign this petition, and we're stuck at 300. You're stuck at 300. How many?
321 at just right before we started this here on January 27th. So 321. Now it started a week ago, give or take.
Mhm.
And so I'll say this: it's a better start than the last petition that was done back in 2017, where it was a petition to go to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, and say, hey, what networks and insurance companies are doing, you should take a look at this. And that only managed to get a meager 439. But that was over the span of it being open for 10 years now, give or take, or a little bit less, 5 years, 7 years. But here we are, and the NAGS issues aren't new. We totally get it. And one of the things that we've been, the kickstart to this campaign and our discussion about it was back in 2018 in San Antonio, Texas, an individual from Mitchell got up on stage and said, we're going to do this for the industry. We're going to rethink the pricing. Nothing's off the table. You're going to have access to real-time information. Our editors are going to push it out. We're going to do all of this stuff. And the conclusion of that was Deb Levy, who's the publisher of AGRR magazine and runs the show, she said to that individual, well, we'll all hold our breath for the next year and see what happens. So while we were all turning blue in the face until that next year, all of a sudden, the person that gets up from Mitchell that next year was not the same individual that was there. And in fact, this individual was there to tell the industry that person really didn't have the authorization to make all of those claims and promises. But we will promise to look at this and we'll do our best. Have a nice day. Gotta go. And that was the end of it. Well, then COVID happened, and then tariffs, and there's all these things that were happening. So now we get to the last 6 months where enough's enough. The last two NAGS quarterly update catalogs are still grossly incomplete when it comes to actual information from pricing to OEM to NAGS numbers to labor hours. It's pathetic. We're also still missing models of 2024, 25, and 26 that are out that are not part of this catalog, the recent January update. And to make matters worse, I'm sure everybody watching this now received your PGW and migrant bulletin going, guess what? We're increasing prices by 5%. And it leaves you wondering, well, while networks, we saw Driven Claims with Arbella come out with the most ridiculous rates that you're expected to take off NAGS, the labor and whatnot, to where, well, what is NAGS doing to not only correct all of their deficiencies they have, but to get us to that role where they promised a more real-time catalog access, so that when pricing does change, because 2 of the 3 major suppliers in the U.S. raise their prices by 5%, we can't wait, honestly, till October of this year. So even though there's going to be a May NAGS update, they've already done their work for May. So we would have to wait till October. By then, the world's a different place.
Yeah.
And especially as we're seeing over the news cycle the last few days, hey, all it takes is for one country to have new tariffs put against it where glass and those glass raw materials come from, and all of a sudden the price of glass goes more than 5% up here.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you're buying it from at that point. So
they have to do what they have to do to keep their business model rolling, and they're the suppliers for us. We need these signatures to try to get NAGS to uphold their end of the deal. And this is the thing, is they won't even listen to anybody until you get 1,000 signatures, right?
Right. It's a minimum, because here's how they look at it. And it's just the reason why there's a petition for anything. If you're saying, hey, there's a group of us that don't like the way this hotel's going to be built over here because we won't be able to see the mountain. Well, the powers to be will go, well, if the majority of the people don't want to see that, then we'll talk and we'll make some accommodation. So right now, with less than 500, that's like, I don't know, if we're doing percentages, that might be 7% of the industry is saying, we don't like this, boo.
Yeah.
And then Mitchell's like, well, hey, if 93% are going along with it, well, we don't need to engage. We don't need to go back and look at our promises. And, over the next few days, we will be releasing new material. that continues to back our case. Because some people are like, well, I didn't have time to watch a video, or I don't believe the video. So now we're going to use what was published in AGRR magazine. Debs magazine did a great job on covering these things, and we're going to go back and say, well, here it is on this date, and you can go read it, and it's real simple to read. And to see over time how Mitchell has failed to provide the industry a quality product. And just so you know, most shops out there pay an average per user of $800 a year. This depends on your point of sale vendor, but you're paying $800 a year to have electronic access. Now, I know there's some people out there that go, I don't need that because I get it from PGW. And the thing is, well, PGW, by the way, has to pay some licensing fees. So that just means your products are more expensive because they have to pay those fees. And at the end of the day, we punch numbers in and you see it's not the right information. You're still begging online going, what's the hours? What's the price? What's this OEM number go to? So we need a minimum of 1,000 because we reach a barrier where that's what they call a minimum case basis, where now we go to Mitchell and say, this is what you promised on these points. Here's what we propose you can do. This is what the industry believes you should do. How are you going to do it? And if they fail to do that, we now can take that failure and move on to the Federal Trade Commission. We can show this to insurance commissioners in each state saying, this is the injustification that is happening that between pricing and reality, and how shops aren't going to do jobs. They're going to cut corners maybe, and they might use inferior product. Or if the OEM says your class must be replaced and recalibrated, that's the statement with OEM glass, then you need to abide by that. But these are all things that Mitchell needs to make sure it's in their catalog, because that's what the insurance companies at the end of the day go off of. It's not Safelite and it's not Lynx. It's the insurance company that dictates that.
Yeah, and if you guys are seeing that petition and you've already signed it, just reshare it so it doesn't get filtered to the bottom and lost, and you're having to look for it a bunch. Just go ahead and redrop it, reshare it, so that way it's fresh in everybody's mind. It doesn't get filtered to the bottom of your notifications. If you've already signed it, thanks for doing that, because I signed it because I think it can only make the industry better.
Yep. And IGA.org/petition will take you right to a pass-through link that gets you signed up. And it takes a minute to sign up.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long at all. It really doesn't, because I did it and it doesn't take very long at all to do. It's just bing bang boom and you're done. So IGA.org/petition and get yourself signed, and let's get enough signatures to where we can actually start working together instead of working against on little things. What you brought up about the now I'm going to preface this. This is James, the Ghost Set Killer, saying this. This isn't anybody else. And I am no longer a technician. Okay, I am no longer a technician. I'm no longer affiliated with a shop. I'm no longer affiliated with anything. But when I seen that online, the 5% increase from these shops, from the distributors, the one thing that bothered me the most is none of them told you the increase was going to increase their value that they're giving you. Not that you're going to get parts that are cleaned and not covered with dust. Not that you're going to get parts that aren't scratched. Not that our deliveries are going to be better and on time. Not that we're going to, it's just like, look, it cost us more, so now it's costing you more. So it's not like, hey, yeah, we're getting a 5% increase. We are having to pass this along to you. But along with that, we're going to give you this added benefits, these added promises, these added, even if they're not, they fall short of those promises, at least it makes me feel a little bit more fuzzy inside, instead of just saying, hey, it cost us more, so it's costing you more. That was kind of, and this is James saying it, that I just don't want to get it twisted out there when people listen to it from these distributors and they're just like, oh, no, this is me. I'm saying it. It's like there was no value added. We're out there saying we charge more because we vacuum your car, because we provide a safe installation. This is why we charge more. And, the distributors just like, the distributors that put that out was just like, nah, bro, we're just going to go ahead and charge you more because we're being charged more. So that was kind of, to me, it was a little bit of a slap in the face. But I know they have their reasoning, and I'm a small voice that means nothing when it comes to things, but just for me, it was like, this left a bad taste in my mouth, man. I'm like, really? Like, okay, all right, you know.
Well, yeah, because the last time they were able to they were able to blame the tariffs because those were substantiated that actually happened, and then gas prices. You know, remember those were like, now for delivery we're charging $5 a delivery, and you're like, okay, so in the $5 delivery, I know it takes $1.38 of gas to bring that to me. What's the other money going for? Which at that time could have been the same thing. Where's the value you're bringing?
Who's only charging $5? I know for a fact it's $12 a delivery for.
No, I'm saying back then when they first started introducing it. Yeah.
Okay,
no.
Yeah,
I'm going back to when the industry was like, what? Why don't you just bake that into the prices you've already raised? Why are you charging the separate fee? And there's reasons for charging a separate fee from an accounting standpoint or an EBITDA standpoint, but you're absolutely right. And I just want to be clear. None of the suppliers monetize your channel, correct?
No one monetizes my channel at all.
All right,
that's
perfect.
Something else I want to clear up right now. There is no sponsorship. There is no monetization of this at all. All of this equipment was bought by James the Ghost Set Killer. All of these platforms, the Riverside subscription, all this, zero sponsorship for Put 'em on the Glass podcast. No distributors, no tool companies. If you hear it here, it's because I want to have a genuine conversation with someone, and I don't want to be censored on my opinions. So I'm affiliated with zero companies across the board. This is just me, Bradley, and Damon bringing this to whoever wants to listen to it. But yes, I am zero affiliation with anyone.
So and you know, and I get this from time to time. People are always like, well, you're the executive director. How dare you say that, or how you position that? The thing is, it's my nature to be disruptive in the standpoint when I see something that's wrong, that I believe is wrong, I want to make sure that it's right. And I'm all for, hey, like everything you're saying, I'm 100% behind going, where is the value and why? Well, I know what the why is. These suppliers have become complacent. They have brick and mortar. They have stuff in the brick and mortar. They either bring the stuff to you or you come and get it. Have a nice day. That's the transactional relationship that they've come to. And sadly, some of the suppliers, which I make no joke of it, you know, where it's glass everything, what they go by, I call them bagel everything, because it's like you're so unsure of what your business model is. You're throwing every topping on it to make sure that everybody kind of likes a piece of it, but as a whole, nobody likes the whole thing. and it's a distraction that when you start to see that distraction from a core competency, then you start to wonder, am I going to start? Will the issues with broken glass, the inspection, used glass coming back with scratches on it, late deliveries, or hey, we're just not delivering at all, accounting issues, all those things that come up with your supplier, those are things that in today's day and age, Amazon has no problem from a warehousing standpoint getting a product from A to B unscathed. And all of a sudden you're like, well, why can't our glass distribution do it? And there are examples like Import Glass, IGC. They're not in every market, but the markets they're in, you ask anybody who buys from them, they're like, we're 100% on board. Nielsen Moeller, NM Glass, same thing. If the markets they're in or their affiliates that they have selling glass, you ask anybody, this stuff's inspected before it goes out. You don't get damaged goods. It's the value add. Their core competency, and they understand it, is customer service and providing that product because they know why you need it and when you need it. So I'm on board. It's a shame, and I've publicly shamed, whether it's my position or not. I've shamed Migrant. I've shamed Pilkington. I've shamed Bagel Everything, PGW. And sure, I probably turn these guys off, but what I'm asking them to do is do better. Do better for us. Do better for the industry. Don't take it personally. Just realize from time to time you go off the rails. Get back on the rails. Let's get back down to business. You know.
Yeah, I mean, because the one thing is I've always the approach is customer service, like what you said, and you know, The customer service aspect of it, it just seemed to that every time they increased the price, didn't really see the information until here recently when people have been putting it on Facebook and putting it up and showing. And for me, it was just kind of like, okay, sell me something along with this increase, like sell me what you're going to do better for me. It's not every distributor across the board hasn't risen their prices yet. But if they do, it's like, at least make me feel good. You know what I mean? At least make me feel like I'm getting more value for my dollar. That, hey, I order from PGW and this thing doesn't calibrate. They're going to return it because it doesn't calibrate because it's a bracket issue or it's a poor, distorted in the camera area. And they're going to come get it. They're going to bring me another piece. It's going to be cleaned and inspected. It's not going to be all scratched up. And, the driver's going to, make the delivery and it's going to be awesome. At least, say we're honing in on our customer service. Yes, we have to, unfortunately, the way the market is, we have to pass this, like insurance companies do it. They're like, okay, we got to raise your rates by 5%, but what we're bringing you is, and even if they're not really bringing you anything extra, they try to make you feel like you're getting more value for your dollar. And I'm not meaning to call out, the migrants or the PGWs those are just the two that I've seen do it. Well, yeah, I get it. But like for me, it just as somebody who was a technician for a very long time, to me, a good part that I don't have to fix issues with to make it go just made my day so much better. It really did.
Right.
It was like, I get it in, it's covered with a 1/4 inch of dust. We clean and inspect it. It's got a 1/4 inch of dust. You clean it off. And then there's a scratch, or you pull off the tape that's on the corner and it's cracked where they put the tape over it and accidentally hit something, and I get it. The returns is just by eating into them. But man, if you wouldn't have to return it if you didn't bring it to me damaged anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know how you battle that, but for me, it's like, you didn't even make me feel warm and fuzzy. You just said, here's what's happening and where else you going to go.
Well, so and interesting, because people love numbers, or at least I love numbers. So back in between 2018 and 2020, the average industry return rate to a supplier was hovering at about 5.4%. So that's like, that's shocking to an extent. And even they knew it. And a big part of that originally was, well, shops have to buy multiple pieces of glass because they don't know which one to buy to put in the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay. So fast forward, glass part match and auto bolt and all the stuff's out. And you would expect, well, those numbers should have significantly dropped off because now we're buying the one product you need. Well, the average has only crept down to 4.1%. And that's the last known for 2024. But between actually last half of 23 up to about July of 2024. That's where we're at right now with data. And I would have expected it to be like in the low 2s, if anything. But that's still showing that it's probably twofold. One is exactly everything you're saying. The glass comes delaminated because there's a layer of dust on it, or it has all those other issues that you said, or glass shops still aren't using the tools to properly do the matching because they're still relying on customers to give them good information. Like, oh yeah, I take a picture of it. And you go, oh yeah, it has a camera housing, so it's got a camera in it. Where this is the glass we're buying. So the industry still, both sides need to do a better job with regards to that. And the irony is, there's even glass shops now selling inspection stands that they've created and built, because they still don't trust. Like, here, a shop has to buy something that they shouldn't have to because the supplier should have done that. So there's your value right there. Is maybe if you're a qualified buyer, they'll buy you the inspection stand. But that also goes back to the training we're supplying. Is part of our IGA University CSR training is exactly when there is an issue, when a product shows up that you're having to refuse, that you can't go do that job that day, how does the CSR handle it and turn that in from a loss to a win? And we use that example, and we have tools that we explain that they can use to the customer to, that go on and say, hey, look, we want to make sure that your car is restored to its factory condition, it's safe, and it's ongoing. We inspect the glass vigorously. When we find an issue with the glass, we will reject it if it doesn't ensure that it meets our standards. And and if you explain it to somebody that way, there's no way they're going to be angry or upset because you're looking out for them. But it's amazing how many glass shops just go, we can't do your job today.
Yeah.
Our supplier brought us broken stuff. And it's like, oh, no. Don't frame it that way, guys.
Yeah. Passing the buck. And
it is.
Don't most of the suppliers on their website have a VIN lookup now too?
They do, but it's the other hodgepodge of stuff. I mean, it'd be real simple if the industry would say, hey, let's have a standard for part matching, and it's the auto bolt glass part match combo. Because if you plug your auto bolt credentials into glass part match, you're getting the best of both worlds. Not only do you get the accuracy of both sides to be dead on, but you're also getting a lot of other information that just goes for the job. And it's like position statements. So that's the biggest thing glass part match can offer a shop is a position statement. So if you're going to do a calibration or the vehicle needs calibrated for static or dynamic, and the OEM position statement says must use OEM glass, must be this, must be that, and you go to get authorization for OEM, and the network or insurance company goes, no, we're not doing that. You go, oh, but here's what we follow OEM procedure. Here is the position statement. You can download that in your glass part match account. You're not going to find that in Auto Bolt or anything else, but you will find that in glass part match. So if shops were to understand that all of this technology is there, and if the suppliers would go, you know what, instead of saying we have our own, or we, like glass, PGW, bagel, everything, whatever, they bought CRM, and sadly CRM is just a mimicking, at least as I understand it today still, that there is a small portion of the VIN that matches up with other vehicles that are supposed to have the same trim condition. But that's not always true. And that's why, they always had that button that said, hey, click here for a verified, and you paid like $1. And I still think there's some methodology behind that. If I'm wrong, I always tell people, contact me, we'll correct it, we'll put up a revision. But to date, nobody has. So they were calling dealerships frantically until those dealerships, the relationship rotted, just to get that information. So they weren't even real time and still aren't. And I don't know why the suppliers aren't embracing better technology. And I also don't know why they're not outsourcing their online presence, because I think, if you ever heard of the death pool, people are always like celebrity death pool. They're like, they put in at the beginning of a year and go, here's my list of 20 people I think will die this year.
Yeah.
And then it's a whole, people still believe that for Migrant and their online capability. And I even saw it this weekend. Migrant was down again on Saturday. Now, if you're going to be offline because hey, I get it. In this day and age, you need to reboot servers. There's security patches. There's, and even your redundancy needs to be rebooted. If people, don't pretend to be a tech person unless you're a tech person, but there's a lot that goes behind it. But they don't announce it. They don't say on a Friday to everybody, hey, bulletin. They don't reach out to AGRR or Glass Bytes and say, hey, can you put this out to the masses and let everybody know we're down for 4 hours on Saturday? And so that's the other problem I have, is they're not super communicative. And so immediately everybody goes, when Migrant's down, they've been hacked again. So everybody just keeps going, when's Migrant going to be hacked again? Mm-hmm. And it's just not them. I mean, Pilkington has had a couple Saturdays in the last 6 months where they're down, but they do let their partners and their customers know. But just like you're saying, hey, how does everybody find out about this petition? Even though we believe it's been everywhere, it's not everywhere, sadly. So I don't know what that would be a perfect value add, is if just right off the bat they could reduce their returns by 2% if they had a better part matching system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of went on a little tangent. We were here to talk about this school, and it happens. It happens with me, and we're coming up on the hour mark, so we are going to let you go, Gary. Thanks for being on, and let's let everybody know again that those feelings were of me, James, and of Mr. Hart. Those do not reflect anybody that is associated with myself, or So I just wanted to make sure that's clear again. And I welcome anybody from any of those distributors that want to come on and talk. We can do it. I'd be game for a roundtable to also be part of that as well. Representing the independents. Your podcast, let's not forget, you have a very large platform with the Shatterproof podcast that you would be more than happy to have them on as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
At this point, I'd rather the controversial stuff be on your end. Because once we start making disclaimers about who's saying what, and and this is something that I'd rather say, hey, put everything over here on James's side, and all the loving stuff will be over here on Shatterbrew.
I got you.
Yeah, no, man, sorry. Good deal.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's one more
but
time.
IGA.org for any. At the end of the day, IGA.org. I get some of you hate social media, so just boot up your browser on your phone, whatever. IGA.org. That's where you'll get the latest information. And then IGA University stuff dropping on or before March 1. So look forward to that. This petition, like James said, IGA.org/petition. Sign it.
Yep. Please go sign it. And with that, I've been the Ghost Set Killer.
And this is Gary with the Independent Glass Association heading into the week.
Yay!
Yay!